Dr. Ted Venema Talks Audiology, the educational whiteboard series brought to you by Next Gen Hearing.
Hi, I'm Ted Venema, here to talk to you today about binaural hearing. Why do we have two ears? As mammals, we have two of many parts. We have two nostrils, two hands, two eyes. It's well known we have two eyes in order for depth perception. If we have only one vision and only one eye, we truly see as flat as a postcard. The reason we have two ears, well, there's threefold reasons, and I will explain each of these to you. The first one's called binaural summation. The second one's called directional hearing. And the third one is called the cocktail effect. Again, let's go through each of these piece by piece. Binaural summation, well, the old saw is two ears are better than one. That's true. They're about 5 decibels better than one. Never make the mistake of thinking that deafness in one ear means 50% hearing loss. I mean, hear the sound of not. Okay? The deafness in one ear does not mean 50% hearing loss. Two ears are about 5 decibels better than one. Here's an example. Pretend you've got someone who hears at 10 decibels, really soft, in one ear. 10 decibels is well within the range of normal hearing. Let's say the person's other ear has the same hearing sensitivity. It too can hear all the way down to a soft level of 10 decibels. So 10 and 10. Now, if we present the tones simultaneously to both ears, guess what? The person's overall hearing sensitivity will increase by about 5 decibels. So binaural stimulation, with that, the person will hear at a level of about only 5 decibels instead of 10 for either ear. Give you another example. Say it takes 50 decibels. Pretend I've got a hearing loss. It takes 50 decibels for me to hear from the right, 50 decibels for this left ear to just barely hear. If I present the two tones simultaneously, my hearing binaurally will increase by about 5 decibels, requiring an overall decibel level of 45 dB. So binaurally, 45, either ear alone, 50. So that's called binaural summation. And it's only one piece of the product of having two ears. The big one that's quite intuitively understood is called directional hearing. We have two ears so as to better localize the direction of sound. But hold on again, it's not so simple that, oh, the right ear hears from the right and the left ear it hears from the left. Au contraire, the truth is much more elegant than that. The time of arrival of sound to each ear is compared by a tiny little nucleus in the low brainstem called the superior Oliveri complex. In addition, the intensity of sound to each ear is compared by that same superior Oliveri complex nucleus in the low brainstem. So really, two things are being compared: the time of sound arrival to each ear and the intensity of sound between each ear. The time of arrival helps us detect where the low frequencies are coming from, and tiny intensity differences to each ear between the ears help us localize the direction of high frequency sounds. Take a look at Figure 1. Figure 1 shows a head, poorly drawn, but a head with a nose facing the top, and there's a speaker kind of diagonally to the top right of the figure. That's emitting a sound. You'll see the two arrows to the right and to the left ears. The right ear is getting the sound a split second before the left ear is, and the right ear will also hear the sound slightly higher in intensity than will the left ear. It's these two cues that are being used by the superior Oliveri complex in order to help the listener localize the direction of sounds. We use tiny times differences to localize low frequencies and tiny intensity differences to localize high frequencies. How come this is the case? Well, think about acoustics first. Low frequency sound waves are very long. They can be meters in length. High frequency sound waves are very short. Now, Lows tend to bend, highs tend to bounce. Think of the animal kingdom. Zoologists have recently found out that elephants emit really low frequency sounds. And these long waves bend over hills and down into neighboring valleys. This is how elephants tend to know where each other is. This is how they localize the location of other elephants. So that's one side. Now look at bats. Bats emit really high frequencies, and these high frequencies help the bats navigate in the dark, and they also help the bats locate insects to eat, because the bats are emitting these high frequencies, and these highs are bouncing off of objects and off of bugs. So lows bend, highs bounce. So with this picture in figure 1 with that head, you can see that the longer low frequency waves will bend around the person's head about 6 inches wide, and it's the time of arrival then that will be used in order to localize the direction of low frequencies. High frequencies bounce, and so the time of arrival cue can't be used. Instead, it's tiny intensity differences that are used by the superior Oliveri complex of the low brain stem to help us localize direction of high frequencies. The third reason we've got 2 ears is something called the cocktail effect. This is all about listening in background noise, hearing speech in noise. Speech and noise, or the signal to noise ratio. Sound waves for speech are compared in both ears, right and left ears, and the sound waves for noise are also compared for right versus left ears. And so you've got 4 things being compared in the low brain stem. The sound waves of speech to the right versus left ears, and the sound waves of noise to the right versus left ears. Have a look at figure 2. Figure 2 is showing you 5 heads from top to bottom. The top 3 heads are happy, the bottom 2 heads are not so happy. The top head is happy because the signal is a little bit different from right to left ears. The noise may be the same to right and left ears, but in that top head, it's the signal that's a little bit different. Think of a person listening at a party, hubbub, background noise, and the person is listening to someone sitting just to his right. The hubbub of background cocktail party noise might be similar to both ears, but the speech from the person sitting on the right is going to be heard differently to right and left ears, enabling this person to hear better in noise. The second from the top head, the second head down, in this case it's the noise that happens to be a little bit different, while the signal is the same, the speech. Well, in that case, that person's happy as well, because at least something among those 4 different sound waves is different between right and left ears. Look at the third head, the one in the middle. In that case, the person's not even has noise in both ears, but the speech is only in one ear. This could be akin to the pilot, to an airline or airplane pilot sitting in a noisy cockpit. There's noise like crazy to both ears. It's well known that pilots sometimes remove a headphone in order to enabling the person to better hear the control tower speech within that background noise. And you can think of that particular middle head as being similar to that situation of a pilot, listening in a noisy cockpit, removing one headphone so as to better hear the speech from the control tower. The bottom 2 heads are not so happy. And that's because, well, the second from the bottom head, it's showing you that the signal, the speech, and the noise are even Steven to both ears. In this case, there's nothing different to the ears, and this makes the signal or the speech harder to hear in the noise. The bottom head, same thing. This is the person with unilateral deafness, hearing loss in one ear. In this case, the person's getting signal or speech and noise to one ear and nothing to the other ear, so there's nothing to compare to left and right ears. In this situation, this person too has difficulty picking out the signal, the speech, in the noise. Such is the case for someone with unilateral hearing loss. And this is a reason why we've got 2 ears. So 3 reasons: binaural summation. 2 ears, 5 dB better than 1. Second reason, directional hearing. Tiny time differences, tiny intensity differences. The more elegant explanation as to why we've got 2 ears. And the third reason, the cocktail effect. Now, summary of implications, summary of complaints for people with hearing loss in one ear. They don't say that everything's soft. Rather, they say they can't tell the direction of sound. And secondly, they say they have difficulty hearing in noise. Well, now let's finish this off. Most people have sensory neural hearing loss, and by far the most common sensory neural hearing loss is presbycusis. Presbycusis, hearing loss in the aging, means hearing loss is similar in both ears. Think of the implications of hearing aid fittings for this population. Do we want to fit that person with one ear, one hearing aid? For one ear, you're going to be creating a lopsided hearing sensitivity. You're destroying the binaural hearing, and you're actually creating better hearing in one ear with remaining poorer hearing in the other ear. That's the situation. That's why today we tend to fit binaurally. We fit binaurally to create that stereo effect, the balance, and hopefully regain some of the advantages of binaural hearing. Thanks. See you next time.